knew there was something that I've forgotten to change, and it was, of course, the title sequence. That should have been 3D Shenanigans, shouldn't it? Anyway, wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for dropping by, my friends. It is good to see you after a week and a half of absence from the Twitch, which I duly needed. So perhaps I should abstain from the daily streams. That might not be good for me. But you know, maybe I can manage once or twice a week. I think we should be able to do that. Mr. Rated R, Mr. Dreamlab, and anyone else who's out there watching, hello and welcome. Wonderful to see you all. Poor PogChamp got the boot. I can't believe it. That's crazy. It was one of my favorite emotes. I just like to, you know, smuggle him in there every once in a while. I suppose it's one of those things. Everyone needs to protect everyone else and whatnot. Like you say, Dreamlab, I mean, no one knew the guy. So, you know, bizarre stuff. I'm going to go and, woo, Rated R's cheered 100 bits. That's exciting. Thank you. That is very cool. Thank you very much. Let us start, in fact, with a little bit of, you know, music by Mr. Joby, perhaps. And Old Lang Syne, I like it. Yes, let's listen to that. That is cool. Is it on the correct output? Is it enabled? Yes, perfect. All right. We have that. Mr. Joby, thank you for being here with us. I'm going to show you what I've got planned today. So it might work out. It might not. But so what I'm intending to do is literally, this is kind of a long extended version that gives me a little bit of practice of how to do this super complicated thing that's about to come up. And I'm intending to make this into a kind of a YouTube series with, you know, without it being a live thing, you know, being a pre-recorded thing. Let's just have a look what it's all about. It is about animations. And in the first part, I'm going to try and bring in a Mixamo animation into DAZ Studio, so that it looks kind of like this. This is a block I've grabbed there. Not ideal, but it's a bit of a catwalk block. And, you know, that's that. I've hidden the arms, brought that into Marvelous Designer, where I've made a simple skirt and then animated it inside Marvelous Designer. Now, the tricky bit, of course, is getting the garment with the animation back into DAZ Studio. So that is something that we're also going to try. And there's so many steps to the process. But eventually, we should have something like this. So it should kind of work. And, you know, with the correct textures and all that, it'll probably look awesome. So there's a lot of steps to this. I'm not going to deal with maps today. I've made a video about that recently. But yes, I'm going to kind of explain the steps that will get us into this area. And the hands aren't great, so you know it's not an ideal anti-block, but I think the principle is there. And if you guys find either anti-blocks or other animations out there, then you know this is something that is definitely possible. And then I also went ahead and did a little filament render just so that we can see what that would look like in filament. I haven't rendered this in iRay. There were no maps on this. This was literally just a quick proof of concept yesterday that I've made there. But yeah, there we go. That's what it would look like. So the issue is always hands. Often, even in better anti-blocks, even the ones that come with Marvelous Designer, the hands often intersect with the garments, and that often just rips the whole garment apart, and that's not very good. So I've just hidden them here just to get the basic concepts, because of course Mixamo has changed, and the file formats for importing and exporting have changed. So you know, one of those things, crazy stuff. So yes, that is what we're going to be doing. Step by step. It'll be maybe 2 hours, maybe 3, I don't know. One of those things. It'll be lovely to have you on this journey. It'll give me some practice, and you know, we can have a chat and all that. There we go. That is the plan. So for that, I don't actually know who that is. Well, yeah, I suppose they tried to make it better. So they're now supporting the FBX SDK 2019, I believe, at Mixamo's end. But DAZ Studio, of course, doesn't support that. So, let me make a brand new folder on my desktop here so that we have something to put our stuff in. What shall we call that? Maybe start with an exclamation mark. That's always good. And then we'll call it, perhaps, I don't know, Animation Madness. How about that? Yes, that shall be my go-to folder here, Animation Madness. I like it. Inside that, I'll try and keep all my things, and I'll make subfolders so that we get completely organized. So first of all, let's start with perhaps DAZ Studio 4.15. Can you believe it? A year and a half without updates, and then we get one every month. What are they thinking about? Crazy. These Twitch streams are like a foreign language to me. Yes, I totally understand what you mean. It took me such a long time to get to grips with Twitch and how it works and the language of Twitch, but it does grow on you. And you know, I don't even miss Mixer anymore, I must say. It's Twitch is really cool in regards to the tools that they have in the background, and it's you know, it's all really funky what they're doing there. So we'll start in DAZ Studio, and then we'll try and get a Mixamo block into DAZ Studio. That's an adventure in itself. So I'll show you, my idea for this is to have a Genesis 8 figure for this animation. Genesis 8 female, that's the one I want to use. In fact, the dev load figure here. So you'd imagine you'd load that and then export that somehow and put it into Mixamo. Wrong. That is not how we do that, bizarrely. And of course, no one mentions this to you because, you know, this is a best kept secret ever. You don't Genesis 3 and 8 and Genesis 2, so 2, 3 and 8, they're not really compatible with Mixamo. I really don't know why. The FBX, whatever the rigging or whatnot, just isn't working well with Mixamo. So what we do instead, we use the Genesis 1 figure. Whoops, not her actually. The Genesis 1 figure. So something that you'd never really think to use, but that is what we use. And that's Mixamo likes that, and you know, it's fine. You can apply poses once they come out from the FBX that we're going to get. We're going to import that as a pose into DAZ Studio, and then we're going to save it as a pose and apply that to Genesis 8. Crazy stuff. That is how it works. I will also make myself a filament draw options node here, because the defaults still haven't changed. Even in the latest version of DAZ Studio, it is still environmental scale is way too high. 0 is a good idea for now. Also, I suppose Control L. No, that doesn't make a difference. Okay, no worries. So all we'll do here, we'll hide it, and we'll make sure we select the Genesis figure and export that as an FBX. And that is what we need to put onto Mixamo, upload to Mixamo. First folder. So this is a folder I'm going to call FBXs, perhaps. You want your GIFs back. Do you know what? I have actually saved some. Maybe I can show you that in a minute. I'll call this one Genesis 1. T-pose maybe, just so that I remember. Maybe just Genesis 1 is probably enough. And that is it. Oh, that's the wrong format. I didn't mean to do that. Totally forgot to say export. Also, why is there Christmas music? That is just, you know, what's happening? Not what we want. Let's skip the Christmas and all the New Year's Eve song and all that. So what I meant to do is select FBX here, Autodesk FBX, and I'll call that one Genesis 1. Genesis, isn't it? With an E there. Alrighty, and what works for me indeed are these settings here, which are the ones from the FBX 2012 binary. So there's tons of options here, but 2012 binary seems to work. I mean, Mixamo seems to accept it, so I'm going to go and just use that. Technically, we don't need maps, but I'll just add it all anyway. It's all fine. And we'll just see what happens. Takes a second. Mr. Backdoor, good day to you too. Very good to see you, Steve. How are you, sir? Wonderful to see those dresses appearing on your Ko-fi store. Very, very happy about that. I'm glad you're back in the 3D swing. I've been really missing you. So nice. I know, the Christmas spirit all year long. What's going on? Steve, we're doing something very exciting today, and that is Mixamo to DAZ Studio. DAZ Studio to Marvelous Designer, add a garment, Marvelous Designer back to DAZ for rendering in DAZ Studio. Crazy stuff. I'm not going to save my scene just yet, but what I will do is open up my web browser and have a look at the Mixamo. There we go, get animated. Free Adobe account is all you need. Perhaps that. And that. And no thanks. They're saying you can log in without a password. I've already uploaded Genesis earlier. Well, earlier, like yesterday, I think. So, but if really what you do is you'd head over to upload character and then pick either an FBX, OBJ or a zip file. Either will work fine. OBJ does not contain rigging, so you'd have to auto rig it. That's not what we want. We want to use the rigging that's already in the FBX. The zip file is if you had some format that would have textures on it, you could use that. We're not concerned for textures at all right now because we're going to fix all that in DAZ Studio later. So let's select the character that we're going to go and upload, which is on my desktop. Animation Madness FBX's Genesis 1. That's the one we want to use. Open that, and that should upload it. Hoping for no error messages. This is already the big thing. So you try to upload Genesis 8 or Genesis 3, and it usually comes up with an error message, no matter how hard you try. So let's just hope. Yeah, there we go. It has worked. Auto Rigger is happy, so Genesis 1 has been transferred perfectly. So that's all good. We like it. Let's go next. Your 3D character has been uploaded. Proceed with this new avatar. Oh yes, let's do that. And then here he is. So now on the left hand side we can pick whatever animation we want. So we can just click it and then it's immediately applied to the character. And this is usually not all of them are loops. They are little blocks. Some of them have forward motion in there as well, jumping up and down. So, you know, not all of them will make sense for us. Long bow locomotion pack. So there's a lot of animations in this. So this is not just one. There's quite a few in this whole thing. 546 keyframes, and you can then go and chop them up and use it for whatever you need. Crouch to stand. Capoeira pack. That sounds good. That also 39 blocks are in there. That's exciting. Oh, you like that, do you? Oh, look at that. And this text is red indeed. What is capoeira? Tell me more about it. Oh, yes. Look at that. Look at him go. Crazy. But you can have it for free. So Mixamo is absolutely for free. That's kind of cool. So you have a ton of animations there. You've got pages and pages of that. I'm wondering perhaps, you know, what's twist dance? Shall we do that? To use twist dance, that is kind of cool. It is a block, it's not too long. It's not exactly a catwalk animation, but I think it animates. And it's kind of in one spot, so we don't have to deal with hands so much. I wonder if we should do that. But you tell me if you see something that you'd like to use. That's cool. I'm with the twist for now. There's also Roomba. Just another Roomba. That is also cool. We used these in the bank heist thing. I remember that. There's also Joyful Jump. That could also be seriously cool. Do you know, that might be not so bad. Shall we use that? Because that's a short and snappy one. So when these things import and export, this might actually be nice if we have a girl in a skirt and she just jumps. That might look really cool with the skirt. What do you think? I think I'm going to use this Joyful Jump. I think that might be cool. So there are catwalk things here. Joyful Jump. Let's just remember that. There are things, if you type in catwalk and spell it correctly, you do see things like the catwalk walk. That's the one that I've used for the intro that I've shown you. And it's not, I mean, it's okay, but there are probably better ones that you can use. If I look at the hands, they're just a little bit too much for me, I think. But it is a complete loop, so you can use that. And sometimes the fingers just don't come out perfect, so you'd have to tweak them. But that is something we could use. But it's a very long one, so 454 frames. That takes a fairly long time to animate and to export. So I think maybe just to go, the joy jump might be cool, because that's short. And that might actually be good. Let's do that. Joy. What else? Joy. Joyful Jump. There's also happy, just an idle happy. That's cool. Also not bad, just for something that just idles around, like for video games. These are really cool. If you have something like an NPC in the street or something, you can use that. But yeah, Joyful Jump, Dreamlab. I'm thinking that as well. Let's do that. And it's Brazilian martial art. Thank you so much for letting us know, Steve. Very cool. So you have some options here. If you're not quite happy with that, one thing that often is an issue depending on the avatar that you upload, and we can see this here as well, the hands go into the body a little bit. Just there on the left. Let me just pause it here. So yeah, that intersection, that's not good. And that, it kind of depends on the kind of hip size of your avatar. You can overdrive something, that means exaggerate the motion, but you can also hide a character arm space. This is the thing that you can increase, and I might just go increase that, because that's always, it's nice when the arms are a little bit further away. And there we go, that might, you know, that might be better for us. So there's this limited amount of adjustment that you have here. Yeah, maybe 70 is better. Let's try that. 70, maybe 60, maybe 65. So we don't want the fingers, if I'm thinking it has a skirt that puffs out a little bit, I'd rather the fingers would not intersect with that. We can tweak that later, and I'll show you how to do that, but it's one of those things, maybe just go with 70. Yeah, boom, perfect. Let's do that. That is all we need from Mixamo for now, but you can, of course, use multiple things and string them together if you like. I'm just going to go download this. And here comes the really tricky bit here. 30, 24, 60 frames. We're going to use 30. We don't need the skin. Keyframe reduction we don't need either, but this is the big change that Mixamo have made. They have added things here as well. They have FBX binary and ASCII. I think they always had that, but they now, I think, default to 2019 format. Then they have FBX for Unity, new thing. They have FBX 6 and they have Collada. I've tried them out, spent hours with this dialog, and I think FBX 6 is the one that works. No promises. Let's go and download this. Preparing download, and this is already the exciting part over. Once this has worked, this is probably the trickiest part that can often go wrong. I'll go and make myself 2 windows here. One will be the downloads folder. Joyful Jump, that's the one that I've downloaded, and the other one is going to be my folder on the desktop here, Animation Madness. So I'll go and put this into the FBX's folder, and let's just hope this is going to work. Fingers crossed. So the original Genesis figure, we don't actually need anymore. We can literally just delete him. And what we will do now is import the new FBX into here and literally hope it works. That is all we can do. Animation Madness, FBX's Joyful Jump. Let's see. And when we open that, we get another little dialog here that asks us, take to import mixamo.com or perhaps something else. Some of these formats have more than one thing to choose from. Others come in completely without anything, so we only have one, so that'll be it, mixamo.com. Does it work? No. What a shame. So that is one of the formats that did not work. What a shame. So you can see that all the keyframes have been imported, but the thing that we need isn't there. The figure isn't there. So probably the post data is kind of here, but that is not what we needed. So that was not the correct format. Sorry about that. Let's go delete that and try it again. So I guess FBX 6 was not correct. And also we can't delete this anymore. Scam. Absolutely. Woohoo! That is uncool. Darja, how you doing? Very good to meet you. Darja is one of my viewers on YouTube. Darja, everyone, this is Darja. She is a pattern maker, clothing designer, uses Clo, I believe, instead of Marvelous Designer. That is just as well. I love Clo just as much as Marvelous Designer. And Darja and I have met on YouTube, and we've just had a little chat. And Darja is very interested in this format, so in this thing. YouTube represents. That is exactly right. So sadly, this hasn't worked. Let's go and do that again. Let's go make a new scene, because I can't even. Did I? What? No. I say a new scene. No, don't do that. Perfect. So my 6 format hasn't worked. Let me just go and make a quick note of that. So that is Joyful Jump. What did they call it now? This was kind of the 6 format. I think 6. Let's go back to Mixamo. See what other options are. FBX 6. There we go. So that wasn't it. Maybe it's FBX for Unity then. Could be. Let's try that. I should have made a note yesterday. I've made it all happen. I've made it all work. And then, of course, I didn't make a note of the one that was actually working. So this is why that why this stream is so cool. At Joyful Jump FBX. Let's go put that in here and just rename that. This was Unity. I think Unity, it wasn't Unity either. But we can try. Let's just try them all. Eventually, it'll work. Unity, open. Let's see. Boom. No, Unity doesn't work at all. Unity doesn't bring anything in. That is a shame, isn't it? Let's try another one. So Unity, FBX 6 didn't work, Collada didn't work. So let's try the binary and ASCII. So let's try binary first. That's what you just have to do sometimes. Save that. We might as well download the other one as well. This one was binary. Well, actually, let's make a note of that first, shall we? This one was binary. Download the. Whoop, what did I do? No, that was the wrong one, wasn't it? That was totally the wrong one. No, forget, cancel. Don't do that. Binary. We need ASCII then next. See if that works. And if neither of these work, we'll just try and use the skin option as well. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. That is still, this is the one. ASCII, there we go. And then we could put these two over here. All right. Let's try another. Let's try ASCII first. See if that works. We have just Mixamo. Let's see what happens. Nope, same thing. Figure doesn't appear, so if I don't see a figure, then even with the animation data being here and with the node being displayed, it is not something we can use, sadly. Only because in an ideal world, and I thought that at first, it would be nice to just select this and save this as a pose preset, because that is the next step that we're going to have to do, but it says there's nothing selected, so it's not going to work. Yes, the Genesis 8 and 3, they don't upload to Mixamo. You can't upload either of them to Mixamo with or without textures. So yeah, you have to use the Genesis 1 figure. I don't know if you have that pack. It's available for free from DAZ. This is the one. So it's not Genesis 8 or 3 or 2. It has to be Genesis 1. It's often just called Genesis. And that was the first figure thing that they've released like that. And the funny thing is, you know, I had this working yesterday, Darja, and I was hoping I could recreate that today. So that's kind of what I'm trying here. Let's see if it works. That's why these Twitch streams are kind of cool, because sometimes things work really well. Sometimes they don't work at all. Like, you know, in this case. So, you know, I can't bring this thing in at all for the life of me. But that's cool. We're going to try more things. And I should have really made a note yesterday. I totally didn't do that. Let me go put all of these into a no skin folder. And put all of that in here, because none of them are working. Now we'll try everything again. And say we'll try it with skin. And I'm pretty sure neither ASCII nor binary were working. I'm pretty sure it was FBX 6. I mean, yesterday. Today that might be completely different, so let's just see. I think so too, Steve. I think it has to do with the rigging. Wasn't it on Genesis 3 that they've introduced quaternion something? There was, or did they introduce that in Genesis 1 or 2 already? I've also had issues uploading Genesis 2 to Mixamo. Right, that is probably why it works. So let's see. Oh, actually, I need to put that from here over to there, don't I? So joyful jump. I'll just call that F6 joyful jump so that I know what that was. Let's try this again. Maybe it was literally the thing. There we go. Now I have two things to choose from. I didn't have that before. Look at that. So it looks like it has to be the one with the skin. So can't use the one without the skin. That is very good to remember. I'll try either of them. So animation first. Animation looks like that, but there's no animation data that came in. So that also did not work. Let's go delete that. Try that again. So it's definitely the F6. The FBX6 format, whatever. And instead of animation, we're going to try Mixamo. And there we go. Person is here jumping for joy. All right, high five, woohoo! So before we continue then, let me just make a note of that. So this is going to become a written article as well on my website. And I'd like to, this is what I should have done yesterday. I should have taken notes. One of those things. Woohoo! So the adventure continues. So for now, we have we've exported a Genesis 1 figure as FBX, and that figure then uploads to Mixamo. We pick an anti-block and then we download it as, what are we going to call this? A DAZ to, actually, Mixamo to DS to MD and back. That's a good kind of, tentative title here. So first of all, we're going to go and export Genesis 1 as FBX. 2012 binary. That's another option. That's another important thing that we need to do. Export that as 2012 binary. Then import to Mixamo. Pick animation. Adjust arm width if necessary. Then export as FBX6 with skin. Super important. Then import into DS and pick mixamo.com, not animation. Very important. And then we're nearly there. Oh, both from Marvelous Designer and Clo 3D. What a shame. I'll let you know on Discord, Rated R, what the password is. You can actually, if you are a supporter of mine, you can go to that page. If you head over to the front page and then go and register yourself as a user on the website, you can see that. Let me show you. There we go. So you can go up to any of my articles and then register yourself for ad-free browsing here. If you follow that link, you get a registration link on either of both of my websites. And if I can verify your email address, I can approve you as a user. Every time you're logged in to my website with your own password, you don't get to see adverts on the website. So anyone who is a Twitch subscriber, Patreon supporter, Ko-fi supporter, anything like that, YouTube super chatter, you can do that on either of my websites and then you get ad-free access. Just a little thank you from me. Where were we? He's already jumping for joy. This is now, what do we do with the Genesis 1 figure if our Genesis 8 figure is really the thing we want to use? Well, this is where it now goes and is seriously interesting, because we'll go with the figure selected. No worries, that's cool. I'm sure I'll still be here, Daja. And of course, there's also the the VOD that you can watch later. Here, this is the exciting thing now. We're going to save this as a pose preset. So file, save as pose preset. This is the exciting part. If we do that, we can pick that up with a fresh Genesis 8 figure, or Genesis 3 figure in fact, and the animation will work just fine. It's crazy that that is working. I don't really know why, but it is. So let me go and save that also on this folder. And here I'm going to go and make a new one, call it poses. And in it, I will say Genesis 1 jump joy animation, for example. Here we have the option to save the current frame as a pose or use the whole animated range. You can futz with what you'd like to embed, so perhaps you don't want to animate the hands if the hands are not cool. I mean, my hands are pretty cool here, but if you don't want to do that, you can switch things off that you don't want to be part in the animation. That is possible. I'll untick compress file because I'm happy for it to A, be large, and B, I'll be able to open it with a text editor. If this is compressed, you can't look at it with the text editor. So I'll go and save that. And that is all we needed from our Genesis figure, our Genesis 1 figure. So he can be retired. And we'll go grab ourselves a Genesis 8 figure. Female dev load. There we go. Let's do that. Haha. And she's in the A pose, so Genesis 3 will work with this pose that we've just saved, no problem at all. But Genesis 8 will need tweaking in a moment. So what we do is, if it's not visible in the content library, you could have saved it here somewhere. I don't really tend to do that much. So I'll go over to File, Merge, and with my Genesis 8 figure selected, I'll go into my Animation Madness Poses folder, pick the one that we've just had, and open it. It says this preset contains more frames than you currently have selected. My timeline is default 30 frames, but this is slightly longer. Would you like to extend the timeline? I'm saying yes, let's do it. Seconds later, we see a slightly wonked up figure, but when we do play that, it kind of works. One of those things. Woohoo! Thank you so much for the 100 bits. I love it. I wish we could change that animation into the little X Mixer logos. That'd be really cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Very nice. Because you're totally number one. Absolutely. This is happening. The arm issue is happening because the original Genesis pose was a T pose. Genesis 8 is an A pose, and the wonderful, unbelievably amazing, super califragilistic expialidocious man, woman, I don't even know what gender, doesn't even matter. AgentUnawares has made the best thing ever, and it is a pose thing that literally has one slider that turns Genesis 3 poses into Genesis 8 compatibility with one slider. And if we crank that up, we can go and see my girl jumping for joy now. Ha ha ha! It's good, isn't it? Yes, I do that as well, Steve. It's, I have the room, and the ability to inspect a file with the text editor is often worth more. I suppose for distribution files, maybe not, but one of those things. It's not bad, right? So we've done so much already. I'm going to take some notes here as well, just so that we're on the same page here. I might. Is there no? This should have a headline really. This is the whole Mixamo part. Put that above here, and then we're gonna go and say DAZ Studio import, because that's another part altogether. Import the FBX from Mixamo. Oh, we've already done that. That's cool. In there, we need to, dang brother, save as pose preset animation, not the still thing. Once we've done that, what was the next step? Oh yes, load correct figure. So Genesis 3 or Genesis 8. Apply pose. Optional. Use AgentUnawares pose converter on Genesis 8. and I'm sure I can find it here, and then I'll drop it in the chat as well. So AgentUnawares, in case you don't have that, G3 to 8 pose converter, that is it. It's the world's greatest pose converter, 100%, and it exists for Genesis 3 female and male. This is the first one, and this one is the second one. So you can probably just search for it, but I'm gonna go and add these to my posts here. This is one, and this is the other. Groovy. Next step is gonna be MD import, I suppose. While she's still jumping for joy, which is super cool. I could just watch this for forever, really. That is really nice. I might actually just save my scene here. So we need a couple of other things from this. So we need to go and save that scene. Make a new folder and call it DAZ Scenes. Animation prep, I'll call it, because we will have to mess with that. So shall I do this in order, or shall I do this out of sequence? I'm sure you'll understand both of these things. Oh yes, if you do, follow that link and you get an official WP Guru mug. Miss Christina, how are you? Let me just go jump up and down for joy here, because I'm seeing you. So nice to see you. You've missed Darja earlier. She might come back. She is also into Chloe, and you know, maybe you guys can meet. Maybe you know her already. She's a viewer of mine. So cool. So today's topic, Christina, is to bring Mixamo animations out from Mixamo into DAZ Studio, from DAZ Studio into Marvelous Designer, and from Marvelous Designer animating cloth and then bringing it back into DAZ Studio for rendering over there. So haha. I shouldn't I, Rated R? That would be nice. So there we go. This is saved. We need a few other things. I think I'm going to go and do this slightly out of sequence. So in Marvelous Designer, when we're modeling our clothing, usually what we do is we model it on the avatar in the A pose that comes straight out of DAZ Studio. That's one thing that I would probably do. Most things that have been modeled for the Genesis 8 figure usually have that kind of A pose. Our initial pose of the animation already almost looks like an A pose, but it's not exactly an A pose. So what we need to do is to export this OBJ out as a starting pose for the animation, and this is necessary because it could be a different pose. It could be something that doesn't look like an A pose at all. So it could be something that looks, you know, way different. So we need to just export this first thing as an OBJ so we can use it as a morph target, as a transition in Marvelous Designer. So let me go and do that while I've got this here. I'll go and export this. This goes back into my OBJs for, no, I actually don't have that. We need a folder called OBJs. There we go. And I'll call this one G8F animation start, just so that I have that saved. Wavefront OBJ. There we go. That is that. Samfi, that is really nice to see you. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Thank you for your subscription. I appreciate that, my friend. So in here, we're going to just use everything DAZ preset. We're not going to do anything other than that. Just use that and go boom. Export that. I will also need an A pose, and I don't really remember if I have that or not. I've saved the scene, so I might just go and just go grab a new scene. Export that figure again in the A pose. I should have done that before I imported the whole thing. I might do that for the actual video. So this is the thing that I need to export as well. because it is the thing that I would imagine we're modeling clothing around. So G8F A pose, so these two we need. Same thing here. You broke your hip? Oh my God! Christina, how did that happen? That is really bad news. I'm really sorry to hear that. Oh my God. As if you hadn't gone through enough. That's terrible. Did it have anything to do with the cold weather? Was it something along the lines of over frozen things? My God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Export a pose, export first frame. Of animation as OBJ. Import a posed character. Model / add clothing. Those are the next steps here. Yes, Marvelous Designer 10. There we go. From the office to your house and fell because it was slippery with the ice. Yes, I can imagine. Yes, yeah, oh my God, that is just how so many people have broken their hip. How long were you in hospital for, Christina? Seriously uncool. Seriously uncool. So let me just sum this up for those of you who don't know Christina, and I'm not going to go into detail because that could take a while, but let's rewind time a few years back. Car crash. Christina was cycling. Van, I believe, hit her. Drunk driver. Was it drunk driver? I can't quite remember. But put you in hospital for a long time, immobilized you, confined you to a wheelchair at least for a time, severely immobilized still with mobility, just about getting back out of it. Christina develops kind of a cancer tumor in her cheek, which was crazy and terrible. Don't go there. The thing is, no, it's just, you know, it's just quickly wrapping up what you've been through. That is unbelievable. You're like a total survivor in my book, Christina. So there was that. Drunk driver. I thought it was a drunk driver. So then Christina, you know, just about on her way getting better, develops cancer. Cancer is one of those weird things that isn't something where there's an off-the-shelf medication, of course. So there's going to be chemotherapy involved, and there's all going to be kinds of treatment and surgeries and all that, all the way while she was still recovering. But she went through it, so you know that happened. Then, on her way to recovery, still with regular nurses' visits, Ralph, obviously, you know, who's also a frequent visitor here, hopefully. Bad nurse, not Ralph. Ralph's a good nurse. Bad nurse when on Ralph's days off. Terrible nurse comes in, infects Christina with COVID-19. Crazy stuff. Gets over that. Is on a TPN, much like I was, artificial nutrition, for months and months on end because body weight is so low. Because, you know, when are you going to recover with all the poison and all that? Ich bin ein Pechvogel. That is absolutely right. Gets over that though, gets out of hospital, has a terrible family incident, which I'm not going to go into because that's really terrible, and it's just, you know, one of those things. It hasn't affected you bodily, but certainly mentally, and it is just super uncool what happened there. All that in the recent past, and now Christina has just moved, just getting her life back together with lots and lots of commission work from clients, awesome stuff. Now she breaks her hip, of course. Oh my God. A book isn't going to be enough. This is a serious Dreamlab. It's going to be a 12-book deal or something. It can't, exactly, and it can't happen to one person over the course of, what are we talking here, 4 years? Less than that, 3-4 years, something like that. It's unbelievable that you've been through all that, and it's just so wonderful that you're still here. That is, it's like one test after the other. Oh my, Christina, it is just, what? That's just unbelievable. Ich bin ein Pechvogel. Sachen gibt's, die gibt's gar nicht. I'll go and bring in the Genesis A pause here, just so that we can do open. Yeah, open or add, that doesn't really matter, that's cool. Just as long as we don't tick this box here, align bottom to ground, we're all going to be good. 5. Unbelievable, Christina. Oops. Unbelievable. It's so funny. I would have never thought that that's what would have happened to you. I just thought, no, Christina's busy. Last I heard of her was that she's just mega busy. So I don't have a piece of clothing, so I'm just going to model a quick skirt here. Nothing fancy. Just 30 wide and 5 high. If I may, there we go. We'll put that kind of here. Still not using arrangement points. At this point, I suppose you could just load in an outfit that you've prepared earlier. I'll copy this and paste it kind of in the same space for now. Move one to the back. So this is going to be the horizontally. Yes, horizontally. There we go. The waistband, sorry, brain kind of stopped there for a second. I'll go and sew this together, I suppose, from here to there. Is that right? Yes. And then from here to there as well. Kind of here to there. And that should go around her waist. Perfect. That's nice. Let's make a super quick, simple skirt. Not even the tail skirt, the Zipfelrock. It's going to be something even less exciting. I'll say maybe 50 by 50. Maybe that's just as simple as it can possibly come. And then we'll make this line down here a little bit longer, just so that there's a little bit of what's it called, in change line length to maybe 80 on both sides. Maybe I don't know. Just so we have some cloth wafting around. Yeah, perfect. And this will go and copy, or can we actually, yeah, let's go copy and paste that. Oh. Certainly no masterpiece, but it will get the point across. Let's see what happens if we animate that. Oh, not animate, simulate rather. Nearly. Let's put that together and that together. There. That should, well, perhaps if we take the curve tool out, just make it a little bit curvier. Maybe it looks better. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Also, was it Control H to strengthen these? I'm trying to learn the shortcut keys here. I think, was it H? Yes, there we go. H was strengthening. Ha ha. Good stuff. And Control H to unstrengthen that. And I think because it'll waft around enough, I think. I'm thinking maybe I'll just add a little bit of extra geometry at the top here. And then subdivide that. Just so that we have a little bit more potential wrinkling. I suppose I should really, no, let me not do that actually. Let me just go and add the particle distance 10 on the, in fact, overall. Let's do that. Particle distance down over here. I'll just make it 10 overall. There, that'll be that. Oh, that is so nice of you. Thank you so much, Christina. That is really, really cool. My goodness, it is just, it's unbelievable. But also, you know, these things, there's knock-on effects, isn't there, Christina? Because it's sometimes you go, oh, look at that, Christina, that's so nice. That is really, really nice of you. I appreciate that. Do you know, it's sometimes it's a knock-on effect, isn't it? Because being on harsh drugs for so long, that then does weaken your body, and then these things like falling down on ice and breaking your hip, that is just what happens, isn't it? It's just, ugh. I still can't believe it. There's a friend of my mother's who is about 10-15 years older than I am, and he developed colon cancer at the same time as I have, and his was stage 4, so it had metastasized into his liver, which is why they couldn't operate all of it, so they couldn't cut it all out. And while I've been getting all kinds of treatments and eventually being successfully treated with immunotherapy, and this has been, I'm a 3-year survivor now, so it's been 3 years since I've been designated cancer-free, and I'm literally grateful for that every day. He was not so lucky, so he is still, all these 3 years that I've been cancer-free, that I've been recovering bit by bit, and it took me over a year to properly recover. He's been getting chemotherapy still every 4 weeks, and that long-term toll on the body is just unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but it is just, it's his life is severely constricted, so it's bowel movements, all kinds of things are very difficult for him, literally everything. Unbelievable. And we all appreciate it, Christina. It's really, really wonderful. That's I admire your generosity. It is just so wonderful that you do that. I've seen you do this in other channels as well, and it's wonderful when that happens. Oh my. Where were we? We're gonna save our project in Marvelous Designer. Let's do that. Save project. Go Animation Madness. I'm gonna make myself a new folder, and I'll call it MD Files. Let's just call it Skirt. That's fine for now. Because remember, we're not doing this because this is supposed to be a finished item of clothing. This is supposed to be an animation. So the first step of this is that we now need to import a morph target so that this A pose can change to the first frame of our animation, so that we have that transition there. There are other ways of doing it, but I find this a fairly easy way. So we simulate, everything looks cool on the A pose, but now we need to have that first pose of the animation come in here. So that we do by heading over to File, Import, Add OBJ, and we'll select this one here, G8F Animation Start, and we want to use, well, load type add, indeed, object type morph target. Very important that this is not going to be anything else, but this is going to be a morph target that'll come in now. Over 30 frames, that's the amount of time Marvelous Designer will use between the A pose and the next pose to interpolate. Ours are very similar, so 30 is ample. Scale, DAZ Studio, everything else is totally fine. So let's do that and see what Marvelous Designer does. It loads it and then gradually moves over to the next pose. And with us, the change was very subtle, but it is there. And this is really what we need to get the animation going. So it could well be that our starting pose of the animation is something completely different. But you know, ours was similar. Lucky us, but you know, I'll go and save this again as a whole project, and I'll say animation start, just so that we can go back to this and do other things with it. Let me take notes while I'm here. MD import, then we have MD animation. So that is load first frame of animation as morph target, and spell it correctly while you're there. Perfect. And then yes, I thought so too, Christina. That is just crazy to have chemo for that long. Also, to have it for that long and not suggest other treatment options. That's the thing that really gets me. I mean, quite obviously. So what they're saying is essentially, hey, we've removed the cancer from your colon, but there's still stuff in your liver that is inoperable. So we can't go and cut that out so that you're cancer free, because without a liver you can't live. We've removed so much from the liver that we really need to kind of wait for that to regrow, and that's just obviously not happening because he's on terrible drugs. So rather than saying, hey, obviously this isn't something you'll survive, we're going to maybe get another 5 years out of you, is there some kind of money scam going on, that they're just charging the health insurance for the ongoing chemo treatments and then just going, well, we're going to do this for as long as we can and get a bit of a buck in the process? It sounds to me as if it's a bit like that. So it's crazy stuff. Unbelievable. It is so terrible, isn't it? I'm glad they did that as well. I know it's risky. I know it's risky to stop chemo early, but I'm so glad they did that, because you were just so weak, and you were just, you know, it's just your body weight's continuously gone down, and if they couldn't keep it up or increase it with the TPN, that was how many hours a day? That's the other thing. They give you all these things and they all think this is a great idea. Meanwhile, you're sitting there, yeah, I've been through this for several years already. What's left of my life, friends? You know, I don't really want to do this for that much longer anymore unless it's getting better. I remember they were suggesting I should have a nephrostomy when I had my whole bladder was basically toast, and there was no way that it was just all so terrible that they suggested, why don't we give you a nephrostomy? And that's this thing that, I don't know if you know this, this is the pipes that go directly into your kidneys to extract urine, so that the urine, if the urine can't free flow into the bladder and then leave the body, they give you this nephrostomy setup, which is terrible. So it's like two pipes literally going into your back, straight into the kidneys, so you can't really lie down. It's absolutely awful. That's what they wanted to do to me, and I said, no, actually, sorry, let's not do that. I'm at death's door here. I'm not sure if this is going to be even worse than just riding this out and hoping I can get to immunotherapy. It is unbelievable. You're right, Steve, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. No, thank you. No, thank you. Oh my. Load animation is what we'll do next. On to happier joy jumping. So we don't have to change into the animation tab for that. What we can do, actually, let's just do that. This red bar here, by the way, this is now the transition from the first pose from the A pose into this pose. We don't really need that anymore either. We now need to actually go back to DAZ Studio and export our animation as MDD point cache, because that is the only thing that we can import into Marvelous Designer. So let's go back to our animation file here. I'm just going to go load animation prep. Don't want to save that. First of all, let's see our lady jumping for joy. Oh, they don't pay for immunotherapy. Oh, man. But how would you get access then to immunotherapy in Germany? Because it's fine if they don't want to pay, but there's got to be, at least they have to say, hey, look, there is another treatment option. I think this is what I'm seriously missing with my mom's friend's story, that none of the doctors have said, or the patient hasn't said, obviously we can't do this. What other options do I have? I mean, money, yes, money is an objective, of course, but at least let me know that there are other treatment options, right? Crazy stuff. So this requires Animate 2, the full version of Animate 2. Not so much because we do anything with AniBlocks, or in fact anything on the Animate timeline. We want to go and already have the first frame of animation, which we've already imported into Marvelous Designer. Now we need to export the animation. And the only way to do this with the Genesis figure selected is by heading over to Export and using this one here, MDD by Animate 2. That'll go into a different folder. I'll call it MDDs. Jump Joy Animation. Just make sure it says MDD by Animate 2, and you will only have that option if you have the full version of Animate. Animate Lite does not have that, so if you have the Lite version, this thing just won't come up. So it's important that you use that, and then go and say save. That'll come up with another dialogue here, and what I find is the DAZ Studio preset works well. You can use ignore invisible nodes, and I would suggest you do that. If you have anything else in your scene, you can just go hide it, and then that won't be part of the MDD export. So if you have a walking pose, like a catwalk pose, in which the hands are too close to the body and they would kind of rip the garment apart, feel free to hide them in here. So if you do that, you have to go and hide things on the original export as well as in the animation export, otherwise the geometry isn't going to match up. But there is a way to do this. If the hands are too close to the body, you could just go hide the whole thing, the whole lower arm here in the scene hierarchy, and then export that. And you know, that's one way to then do the simulation in Marvelous Designer without ruining the garment. I hope it's going to work in our case. So let's go hit accept. That'll now go through every frame. Boom, that's that. Yeah, 250,000 euros. That is, it's. I had that as well. I was perplexed to see that one immunotherapy treatment was between $8,000 and $10,000, and I had 12 rounds. So ooh, I had the cheaper version. So yeah, and my insurance paid that. I was thinking, hey, it's cool. We're gonna take the premiums here, no problem. My God. And free home visits. That's nice, Steve. Yes, it is frightening what that costs. It is absolutely frightening. So with MDD exported from DAZ Studio, we'll go and import the same in here with the regular import option, MDD cache standard. Let's try that. I say try because there's always a possibility that this goes wrong. Jump Joy animation, 44 meg, that's cool. We're gonna go and open that. And this is kind of an interesting one. So this is, I'm gonna make a note of this now. So for some reason, when the MDD cache comes in, the character is rotated 180 degrees just on the, well, in DAZ Studio with the y-axis, in Marvelous Designer it's the z-axis. For some bizarre reason, I don't really know why. So Z invert is what we need to use, 100% at DAZ Studio scale. And this one we don't want to tick here, move avatar and garment to start position, because we've essentially done that manually by just adding the first frame of the animation. So there's a way that you could just go and let Marvelous Designer do this transition for you, but I'm not a big fan of that. I like to do this manually. That is all we need, and I think that might then work. So Z invert, let me just see if that is in fact correct. Oh yeah, we're not actually walking, so we're just jumping for joy. Let's see if that works. Yes, there we go. So she jumps for joy. That's awesome. So the only thing that isn't currently jumping is the skirt, and that we make happen with this record button here. So this is a good way before you do this. Simulation takes a long time from frame to frame. It's nice if you just go and play this back and see if the animation kind of works the way you'd expect it. If it doesn't, then you know something is wrong. So if I had not ticked that box, the Z invert, she would now be jumping, but she'd be facing the wrong way, whereas the skirt would still be the correct way. And then if you try to do this whole thing, it's not going to work. So let's let's not make that mistake here. Let's go and record. This is now going to go with cloth simulation through every frame. Woohoo! Look at it go! So let's see if we can. I mean, you can probably, if there would be more width, more fullness in the skirt, that would be kind of cool as well, because then we would see it literally going. It would literally just kind of curl up. So it depends on the skirt. We could even remodel the skirt at this point. We can literally just go and make changes to the garment, make it wider, and see how that works. That might just look better. I might just do that. Just add more fullness to the bottom. I might just do that, see what happens. And I don't even have to do much here. I just have to, I think, he says, I just have to make this wider. I believe. Is that how it works? I don't know. Is that how it works? Change length. Let me see if it works. 81. Let me just make it a meter, maybe. The waistband's a bit loose. Yeah, go for it. Let's try that. If it doesn't work, we can always go put that back. So let's make it 100. Don't want this to overlap. Oh, there's also, before I forget, Christina's wonderful strengthening tip, for which I've just learned the shortcut. I suppose I could just go and strengthen all of it. I think it's Shift H. Yes, there we go. Just so that it puffs out once, and then we can unstrengthen it again so it goes and falls back together. The wardrobe malfunctioned. Control H again. And we can just re-simulate the animation. It's kind of nice that it's so short. I'm glad we picked this actually, because otherwise it would take quite some time. If we'd have like a 400-500 frame animation just to do a quick test, that might just, you know, that might not work. Look at her jump! Unbelievable. I think that looks a bit better. Look at that. No wardrobe malfunction. All right. Christina, tell me again, what is which direction is warp and which one is weft? It's difficult to say, isn't it? It really depends on the piece of fabric, but in Marvelous Designer, is this warp or is this warp? Because the other one would be weft. I just don't remember which one's which. There we go. Look at her go. That is nice. If we had a loose-fitting shirt for that, it'll just all, you know, waft around quite nicely. So, one of those things. Hey, Mr. Rod. Mr. Goldenrod, should I say. So nice to see you. So let me just make some notes here before I forget. And while the young lady is jumping up and down for joy, which is great, I'm going to make her stop. I'll make her jump up and down in DAZ Studio for a little bit, and then we bring over the garment into DAZ Studio, and we'll see what happens. You always have to check too. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Oh man. MD animation. Load the first frame of the animation as morph target, then load the animation just with the standard. Not that I want to do it now. MDD cache standard. There we go. That's what I... MDD cache standard. And then, of course, also over here, DAZ Studio. That's the import. Export a pose, export that. This is actually DAZ export, MD import, isn't it? So export MDD by animate. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's how we get that out of DAZ Studio and then import into here. Load the animation MDD point cache. Then we go and simulate. Well, there's also, there's not just that, there is, in Marvelous Designer, when we bring that in, it was Z inverted. As Z inverted, then simulate animation. And that is technically that. Oh, really? Redbubble do cool masks? Hey, that is good news. I think perhaps Rod and Chris might be interested to hear that. Why don't you guys, both of you, make some cool designs for face masks, put that onto both of your Redbubble stores. I don't have a Redbubble store, but both Chris and Rod both have one. And if you do that, I'm going to go buy a mask. If Rated R says they're good masks, I'm going to go buy some, because Julia and I, we have some that are fantastic, but you know, we need a backup. This is going to take a while. Ah, okay. So weft is left to right, warp is up and down. Okay, so warp and weft. Maybe we can remember that. Warp and weft. I think that is easy to remember. Warp, because this looks like a W, doesn't it? So warp and weft. Cool. Thank you so much, Streamlab. I love it. Yes, and Clo and MD are totally the same. Goody. Warp and weft. There we go. That's good. I can remember that. Joe, wonderful to see you. Very nice to see you again. Yes, I had to take a little bit of a break, because if you stream daily for 2 months, twice at weekends, it does take a toll on your energy levels. And I just had to take a little bit of a break. So there we go. They both start with a W, that is correct, yes. But I'm thinking, you know, warp and weft. That is a good way to remember that. Oh, Rated R, there we go. Maybe that's why I can remember it. I'm a little bit, you know, dyslexic, so these things, if something really speaks to me that way, that's just cool. I can't remember left and right. I really have to look at my hands and think, this is the left hand, I know that. But if somebody says to me, you know, read a map and tell me which way we're going, I'd say, oh, go right over there, because I'm pointing with my right hand over there. For me, it makes perfect sense where that is and that this is right. Dyslexic, what can I do? Ay, caramba. Oh, bridge weft left. Oh my god. Weft left. Ay caramba. Let us go back to the simulation tab and export my wonderful garment out of here and see if we can turn it into the same animation inside DAZ Studio. So for that, I'm going to go and, because we have Genesis in there already, I'm going to select my pattern pieces and choose export OBJ selected, I think. And that is just the first. I see, this is what it's important. I need to go to the first frame of the animation, which currently I'm not on. So that is important to remember. First frame of the animation. Best make a note of that right away. Simulate animation. Park on first frame of animation. Then export, whoops, export first frame OBJ. Then we export the next thing. Let's go one thing at a time here. One thing at a time. Export OBJ selected. And this goes in the OBJs folder. We're just going to call that skirt first frame. Well, skirt first frame. There we go. That'll give us all these exciting options. Didn't I select selected patterns? And are they in fact these? Yes, that's perfect. We don't want the avatar to be part of this, because otherwise, you know, this must be unselected. Select all avatars. This must be unselected. Otherwise that ain't gonna work, y'all. Single object, yes. No thick, we need it thin, and we also need it welded. Unified UV coordinates, yes. Scale 100%. And that is really all we need. That's just the regular OBJ export. That's the static frame. That is that. Now, I believe we need to do the same thing. Export. No, now we exactly. Now we need to go OBJ MDD cache standard. So export MDD cache standard. And this is now also an MDD. I might, yeah, let's do that. Let's put that in there as well. So skirt animation. That gives us another export dialog, which is exciting. And the settings must match. So it's also going to be single object, and it's also going to be thin and welded. So just make sure it's exactly the same. Thin and welded works well for me. Unified coordinates. Everything else is fine. Play region only or entire region depends on what is set. Mine is entire region. But if you had an animation that's much longer and you don't want to export all of it, you can set the play region and then it'll just export the play region. And that is all. Hit OK. Let it do its thing. This is going to take a little bit of time. No, not actually that much time. Depends, I guess. Let's go and make sure I remember all that. Export MDD cache animation. Match settings for both. Single object, thin, welded, the end. And I believe that is that. Yes, it was tricky. There were some tricky things that happened on the streets in Washington. So I think we're kind of done here in Marvelous Designer. Let's see if we can bring all that into DAZ Studio. See if I can remember how. So our Genesis figure is still here. We're going to go and keep her there. And we're going to go and import the first frame of animation of our skirt. So let's actually make another headline here. DAZ import. import skirt first frame obj. Have I done this correctly? I think that's, no, hang on a minute. Have I done this correctly? You see, no, I haven't done it correctly. I'm so sorry. We can't import MDD cache into DAZ Studio. I don't think, I mean, if we can, that would be seriously cool, but I don't think I can. No, we can't. No, so I'm sorry, I've made a mistake here. Disregard my earlier thing. We need to do something else in Marvelous Designer. So the export isn't actually what I've just told you. The export is with the garment selected. Export OBJ sequence. That is what we need to do. President Who, Steve, unbelievable. The disrespect. OBJ sequence, that's what we need to do. And it will get its own folder. I'm going to call it OBJ sequence. Skirt SEQ, I'm going to call it. Well, I might as well be generous and type it out. Skirt sequence. And this will give us, however, the same thing. Very super mega important. Deselect avatar. Very important. Otherwise, the avatar is being exported as well. We don't want that. Single object, thin, and weld. Single object, same as file name is fine. Unified UV coordinates is also fine, and the rest is cool. That's just the one thing at the bottom here. Entire region, play region only, or input frame. We're going to use the entire region, and that I thought it was going to take a little bit longer because it goes through every frame and writes an OBJ now. So there we go. Let him do its thing. Must make sure we do that here. Export, not MDD cache animation. We're going to go export OBJ sequence. Match settings for both. There we go. That is really all that we needed to do. Import first frame OBJ of the skirt in DAZ Studio. Then import all OBJ sequence files via morph loader. Also do spell morph correctly. We done? We're done? Cool. We can actually, just because the OBJ sequence already has the skirt's 0th object, we can just go import that. We don't need to import anything else. Yeah, that's actually quite clever. And just make sure it is to DAZ scale. Accept. And it will match. Skirt sequence, there it is. So it doesn't do anything yet because, you know, she jumps and the skirt is a static object, so yeah, that's not going to work. But the skirt itself, let me just go and give it a color, just because white on white isn't so good. Also shiny skirt, I mean, seriously, let's not have that. That's under base glossy roughness. Let's just go crank that up so it's less shiny. Also, create a filament draw options node, because, you know, I do like filament, I just dislike the default values. There we go. Righty, so now we can see the skirt a little bit better. That's cool. So make sure we select the skirt, head over to Edit Object Morph Loader Pro. It's going to be exciting. And then over here we'll go and choose all morph files in our OBJ sequence. So first one, shift select all of them until the last one, say open, and then hit accept. That will now import all of these things as individual frames, individual morphs, sorry. And we like the success message, no deltas for morph, skipping node, that's perfect, no worries. It's created morph successfully. That's really what we want to see for pretty much all of these. Hundreds of morphs, if you will. Let's go do that. But still, there's no animation going on there. The sliders are all there, but nothing animates just yet. So that happens with my super exciting script, which we call animorph. There we go. Freshly updated today for version 4.15, DAZ Studio 4.15. Probably something else you may not have noticed, Christina. DAZ Studio have given us another update with visibly literally no additions. But yeah, we now have 4.15. Really? Do you know the guy, one of the popular block creators on DAZ Studio, Scar Motion, on the DAZ site, Scar Motion, he's just thanked on his website, he's just thanked everyone for over 10,000 purchases. That is kind of cool. I mean, I don't know how long he's been doing that, but it's a good kind of sales figure to keep that in mind. His blocks sell between $20 and $30. They're very good because you can literally just drag them in, and it's it's very cool. And over 10,000 of those. So let's say with sales and a 50% cut, let's say he's made $10 per block, maybe. That times 10,000, that's 100 grand. There we go. There's money in DAZ Studio blocks after all. So there, with the skirt selected, I believe I'll just double click this because it comes up with a bit of a weird window here, but that's cool. We just click the first button and script goes to work and applies the animation to our skirt. Look at that. Beautiful. Exactly like we've had it in Marvelous Designer. No poke through. Hiya! She's already super happy, jumping for joy. Oop. It works. It's magic. And it buckles, and it doesn't even have a subdivision surface modifier on the dress yet. That we could all do that. We could put patterns on it. We could render it in iRay. We could do all these things. It works. It moves. Yes, no problem, Darja. It'll be also on YouTube in a little while. Give it a few weeks or so. There's a lot of other stuff that I have scheduled, but yeah, I will also digest all of this into a little video series without us talking about cancers and broken hips and all that. And impeached presidents and all that. So it's one of those things. It's good to do this like 2-3 times. So for me it really helps. And I'm taking notes, so there'll also be written articles for that. So let me just go and see if I've made the correct notes here. Import all OBJ sequence files via morph loader. Run animorph. The script, by the way, I will also give you a link to that. That is available on my GitHub account, GitHub /Lewis animorph, and I've updated it literally today. This is the script that you need in order to turn all the morphs from the OBJ sequence into an animation inside DAZ Studio. I've literally tweaked this link for a version for DAZ Studio 4.15, so it's exactly the same as 4.14, but I like for things to at least appear up to date. So let me just go and copy that, put that in the chat as well. Kapow! Indeed, yes. So this is going to be animorph script, and that is just I don't know why morph is so difficult for my fingers to type. I really can't tell you. And it also is important for my article. Run animorph on clothing item. Link. Happiness! Exclamation mark. Maybe even with an emoji here. There we go. Perfect. And that, I think, is all there's to it. She keeps jumping, and we've made it. we've literally made it all the way from DAZ Studio via Genesis 1 into Mixamo. Pick an anti-block, export as FBX6 from Mixamo back into DAZ Studio, save as a pose file, apply to a new figure, apply this pose file from Genesis 1, save it out, apply it to a new figure like Genesis 8, Genesis 3. Optional, correct the arm position from the A pose to the T pose thanks to AgentUnawares' unbelievable conversion little script. Then, my goodness, export that character animation out as an MDD cache, import it into Marvelous Designer, animate your clothing in Marvelous Designer, export it out as an OBJ sequence, import the first frame into DAZ Studio from the garment, then load everything else as via morph loader as morph targets, then run animorph happiness. That's basically all the steps summed up. Oh, have I not done that? Child theme wizard. That is interesting. While we're talking about it, what happened with the child theme wizard? Is he not updated? Oh, for 5.6, I think I've made a compatibility thing there, didn't I? Have I installed him here? Oh no, stay save draft. So yes, that's all the things, you know. Simple procedure. Yes, somebody should write a script about this. Unbelievable. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Christina. I had designated some of them. Is it here? Child theme wizard. View details. This oh yes. Good point, Christina. Compatible up to, yes. Thank you so much for letting me know. We should do that. I'll update this because it still works. I didn't have to make any code changes, but I should at least mark it as compatible with 5.6. Yes, thank you, Christina. I'll do that. Over 10,000 active installations. Look at that. Very cool. 5-star rating. Wow. Thank you so much, guys. Well, one guy gives it a 1-star rating. There's always somebody, isn't there? No worries. Yes, I'll do that. Wow. That was quite a lot, I must say. This is I'm so pleased it went so relatively swift. I mean, I have Darja, I don't know if you were here when I showed this. There was something in the beginning, just as a little overview. I've shown something that I've practiced with yesterday. That's this one here. This is what I've made yesterday. This is a longer catwalk animation in which I've hidden the arms so that the hands they didn't look great, and this was just another anti-block from Marvelous Designer. They were interfering with the skirt I've made, so you can't have longer things. It just takes much longer to do this whole process. But yeah, essentially we've followed all these steps in this stream, and then afterwards you go and put all that into DAZ Studio. Run this super exciting animorph script. So thank you so much to Dreadmark, I believe, Dreadmark and Marcus Wilm, who have been continuously maintaining it, and now it lives on my GitHub repository just so that it doesn't get lost, because you know what it's like with scripts out in the open. If no one really takes care of it, charge of it, it'll just disappear at one point. So there we go. No worries. Thank you so much, Steve. Yes, this is also from Mixamo, Darja. This is called just catwalk walk, I believe. There's a couple of things there, and the hands they don't really look nice, and there's a lot of tweaking that you'd have to do. But DAZ Studio being so awkward as it is, I'd recommend you find something that works. And this is not an iron render. This is a filament render, but you know, this is also with I think subdivision surface modifier applied on the skirt. All those things are possible with exciting renders and with exciting clothing as well. Yeah, my goodness, that was it, my friends. I think that was it. I think I've done it all. We've written the whole article. We've made all the bits and pieces. I can now in the next few days go to work and record this as a proper series in snippets, and hopefully it'll be helpful for anyone and everyone who wants to bring in animations to and from Mixamo to DAZ Studio into Marvelous Designer and back. My friends, thank you so. Yeah, the bendy fingers, Boomer's art. That is not nice, and sometimes that happens. And you could literally spend so much time on doing that. Usually, what I would recommend is just not use any blocks that have screwed up things like that. So if you have something that you find has these artifacts, just find a different animation. Usually if you find blocks, like proper Annie blocks from the DAZ store, let me just go and quickly show you that. There's some cool ones that you can get on the DAZ 3D website by Scar Motion. Actually, you can't search for him. I think you have to search for Annie blocks. Annie blocks, I think. Rated R, thank you so much for yet another exciting bits donation. That is very cool. Yeah, if you want to use these things, he has a lot of stuff in his program, and some of them are very short. I don't really know if they're worth $30, but he's literally the only reliable Annie block seller on the store. And we've been talking about him earlier. I believe I have these here. They all come with demo videos, and have a look at his products. So he even has other things that you can make Annie blocks with, and these are really as simple as just installing them, and then you just hop onto the Annie block timeline here. Let's see, do I have anything? By Scar Motion, yes, there we go. What do I have with Scum? Oh, I've got the Genesis 6 versions, jogging and high heels. Okay, let me just go and save this, and then I'll show you a couple of the ones that I have installed for Genesis 6 DAZ scenes. There we go. Animation finished. Always good to do this. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. You can probably just go. You can have a look on your own. I'm just going to go and take this, copy it in the chat. Scar Motion Annie blocks, have a look at them, and have a wonderful, wonderful night. I hope I will see you again soon. I'm not entirely sure about tomorrow. Possibly, perhaps not. I'm really not sure. It depends on the rest of my day. My friends, have a wonderful time. Thank you so much for all the wonderful bit donations and for your gifted subscriptions, Christina. I really appreciate that. I hope your hip heals better, and I hope there's no more mishaps for the rest of 2021. My friends, have a wonderful time. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, no, that was the wrong button, isn't it? That's got to be this one.